There's a whole lot of love in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret podcast, Lair. I mean, after all, we're not David Coverdale, but at least we know when someone asks, is this love? That we can tell you. What else can we tell you? That the crew is back in the bar. The weekly whiskeys have been poured. We've reduced the problems of the world down to about one thing, which means Implicit Bias Radio is back on the air. Look, it's been a heck of a week since we recorded our last show. We last recorded on September 10th. Thanks to those who did join us live at Mr. Lester's, by the way. We had a blast on that show, but let's face it, at the end, it was just a pretty crappy day. We all know what happened on that day. Charlie Kirk was shot. Now, we're not going to solely focus on that all-consuming story on this week's episode, but we are going to discuss it. We're actually going to take a look at it from a little bit different of an angle. We're going to bring it down basically to that one thing that we talked about just a second ago. Because there is one thing that could have stopped basically where we are today. There's one thing that could have prevented all of this. See, as Americans, as humans, we've deteriorated past the one thing that we should all understand at the earliest ages. Years ago, you could say this wouldn't have happened. Why? What was different then? Here's the difference. The core concept of wanting what's good for someone else, for the sake of someone else, has essentially been lost in this country. Too many enjoy the vitriol. Too many enjoy the anger. Too many enjoy the hate. Now, those who choose to live in those feelings consistently, they've used all their words. They've taken all the deep breaths they can. So now, all they have left is violence. The hate is so deep that people who claim love is love can't do that anymore. By definition, they can't will the good of someone else, and that's what love is all about. It's not about us, it's about everybody else. And those who can't will the good of other for the sake of other, you know, as St. Augustine or St. Thomas Aquinas, rather, would define love, they know nothing other than hate, anger, and violence. See, the people who claim to be tolerant, the people who claim to be accepting, the people who say we must accept everyone, that we must be inclusive, those same people, many of them are celebrating a murder. Those people, they want to exclude, they want to dominate, they want to silence, they want to bully, and they want to hurt anyone and everyone who doesn't agree with them. This has never been more evident than today. The number of people we've seen who claim that they care for others. Today, many of those people are actively rooting for, publicly shouting about, and celebrating their sheer joy at the murder of a father, a son, a man who just wanted a conversation. First, in this situation, a couple of things jumped out to us. Number one, the number of people who are supposed to be servants of others, who are supposed to be caregivers, who are supposed to be responsible for other human beings. Now, it's anecdotal, but those people seem to be overrepresented in this vile cacophony of shrieking animals who have publicly celebrated murder. So many, not all, but so many of those who are celebrating are teachers, they're nurses, they're professors. Look, and I'd love to say I'm shocked at this, but the number of people in these professions who've publicly told you that they only have love in their souls, they've proven one thing, that they only have love for themselves and those who think exactly like them, not anybody else. The evidence now, it's out there. You've seen it. These people have shown us who they really are. Now, we've seen the evil that resides in so many people in our country. The question is, what do we do with that information? Well, it's pretty clear. We've got a choice to make. And this is a choice of right versus wrong. This is a choice between good and evil. This is a choice between God and the devil. See, the devil would never wish for us all to get along. For all of us, even though we may disagree, to have a full conversation and when it's over, leave each other with the sentiment that we still wish each other well. No, the devil would want to create a world where we get mad because people tell us we should be. The devil would create a world where we think that everyone hates us because of our skin, because of our heritage, because of our differences, because of our religion. Only the devil would want a world where we're at each other's throats. So first, he'd have to convince some of the weakest of us all that no one loves them. When those who believe that they are outcasts also believe that they are unlovable, that is how evil takes over. So that's the choice. In our implicit bias, it's really clear. And yes, it is black and white. We know this from Corinthians, where we hear, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and drink the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and partake of the table of demons. See, only a demon would wish the death of a fellow person because they disagree. Only a demon would revel in someone's assassination. So we guess the question is, who are we siding with? We guess the question is, what table are we eating at? Our implicit bias refuses to even think about siding with those who revel in death. Can't do it. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture, or any juncture for that matter. See, that's the big question. Collectively, we have to answer. Do we side with God or do we side with the demons? Which cup are we drinking from? Which table are we eating at? We, on this show, we like to poke fun, but at the end of the day, we wish the good of other for the sake of other. We don't hate people who are different. We don't hate people who don't believe what we believe. We'd like to discuss our differences. That, however, can be a difficult conversation. That can be a challenge at times. But all it should ever be is a conversation, which can sometimes mean a conversation turns into a conversion from the hate, the desire for murder. And this is what we strive for on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Cheers. It is weekly whiskey time on Implicit Bias Radio. Quick reminder, if you are looking for a weekly whiskey that you have heard, seen on this show, please first go to any of our weekly whiskey providers that are members of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. You can find that list by listening to the show or go to our website. You'll find all the websites for all of those who participate in providing us with the weekly whiskey that we partake right here on Implicit Bias Radio. So let me introduce you to the crew on the show this week who I guess we in a way love them. I mean, in the classical St. Thomas Aquinas way, we do will the good of other for the sake of other, except for Walker. Walker, how are you this week?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. See, Walker got introduced first, and Walker was all happy because I'm sure he was on video at Mr. Lester's last week.
Oh, I don't know if I was or not.
Yeah, the wide shot, I'm pretty sure you were.
That's awesome. That's a good thing. That's why we had so many viewers in the chat.
Yeah, I lied. You weren't on TV. Anyway, no, Walker, it's good to have you back here in the TSPL. Let's go ahead to the bar, introduce you to who's at the bar. Let's start with Danny Izzo. Danny, how are you? Good to have you back. You got to grab that microphone and eat it, Danny.
Oh, I know. And it's so darn tall. And I'm so not.
That's all right.
I'm wonderful.
It's good to have you back.
Marvelous.
Salud.
That you would care for me.
To your health. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. Speaking of good health, Jonathan Broussard is in good health as well. He's at the bar. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling well.
Good to have you back. Yeah, it's been a long time since I think either of you gentlemen have been at the bar, much less that we've had both of you at the bar. I don't know that that's ever happened on the show.
I think it has happened. I think we've sat together once.
Maybe once.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all that's required to have it have already happened on the show. Love it. The person sitting in the chair who looks like my chair, he doesn't look like me because his beard isn't as pretty. He is the Rustic Renegade.
I might have the same amount of gray, though.
Oh, no. There's no way you have that much gray.
It's hidden.
No, there's no way. So maybe if you added all of the length of the gray on your beard,
Possibly
it might equal the same volume total or the same total length, but there's no way.
I mean, I do get confused by overall length sometimes.
Yeah, we all know that you tend to overestimate everything. Anyway,
I mean, that's 3 inches.
let's dive in. And yeah, but if you want to see what that looks like, find us on X, find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook. YouTube is where you can go to get full episodes and probably see Caleb's not so sophomoric reference, or actually so incredibly sophomoric reference right here on the show. Caleb, it's good to have you back as well.
Always a pleasure.
Great to be at Mr. Lester's last week, but good to be back in the...
Stupendous to be there. It was a phenomenal time, a great night. We had just wonderful conversation. And I'm not going to say even better drink, but about the same as on drink.
Well, you have to remember, and I'm curious if any of the gentlemen at the bar caught, what is the Mr. Lester's whiskey special for the month of September?
Did not.
Do you want to ruin it for him, or you want me to ruin it?
Well, it's the Colonel always. Well, the Colonel this month. So it's a E.H. Taylor small batch. And what was it? Was it $5 pours?
$5, Bob. You can't get a footlong for $5 anymore, much less a pour of E.H. Taylor. Let me tell you, $5 E.H. Taylor pours. Go down there, tell them you want an implicit bias pour, and $5 pours.
Good luck finding it on the shelf somewhere, let alone paying $5 for a sip.
And if you don't go soon, good luck finding it down there, because it's while supplies last. I mean, I hate to have to say that.
Well,
but
and look, to be truthful, we drank a good bit of it while we were there.
actually, we did not, and we did that on purpose.
No, I had...
Oh, you got an extra pour? Yeah, leave it to Caleb.
Because you guys love your neighbors. That's why.
That's
Yes.
why, right?
Yes.
Love thy neighbor. All right, speaking of loving thy neighbor, we do have a great whiskey that is also available at Mr. Lester Steakhouse this week. And this month, right now, it is the Foregate, and I know I'm gonna butcher this. It is the Saint Charente or Charente. I'm assuming that it's French. It's hard.
Google Translate.
It's hard to find sometimes the full pronunciation of what they do with these, but this is a minimum 7-year-old aged, finished in cognac casks at 109 proof. So why don't we start at the bar and see what we think of this Foregate whiskey as we start to maybe get a little bit of the nose, because I've enjoyed nose humping this glass quite a bit already before we've gotten started on the tasting.
It does have a nice nose, and I should know.
Well played, Danny. What do you get on the nose?
Some spice, which I kind of like since I'm a rye guy, but this isn't.
Okay.
And the cognac, which we discussed earlier off
Yeah.
the air.
Yeah, you do get that little bit of winey
Yeah.
on this particular whiskey. And it makes sense because it is finished in cognac casks.
Yeah.
But it's prominent
It
on
is.
this one. It is prominent on this one. So, yeah, I absolutely get that as well.
And then on the front, it's got some bite and some heat, but it still goes down pretty smooth.
So I love that this is, as you said, it's a little spicy on the tongue when it hits. And it's not overproof hot. It is just spicy. Like it hits the tongue, and it's almost like you've got a little bit of pepper in it. It is peppery. That's my flavor profile. That fits a lot of what I like. So, Jonathan, I'm curious as to what you're getting off of this Foregate and kind of where this goes for you.
On the nose, I'm getting some caramel and some nutmeg. Is what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for cognac finish bourbon.
Really?
I have a few. This one is a little sweeter than what I'm used to, I think. But I do like it, and I'm a bit surprised that it's 109. I would have taken this for 95, 98. So
Really?
It is really going down easy. I'm kind of scared to say that, but
So the interesting part out of this conversation is I got the neck pour. And for those who have not had what a bourbon that people call necky, or a whiskey that people say might be necky, I took the first pour out of it, made sure that I had that. And when I took my first sip, I thought this is probably a lot higher than 108, 109. I was thinking this was in the 120s, but it was the pepper that I was mistaking on this for proof. Instead of, this is just a pepper element to the flavor profile. I get heavy black pepper on the front of this. And it is fresh, cracked black pepper that I get on this Foregate. So now it's time for us to give you the official top line primo grade review from Caleb Morse, who is going to take us down a road that I'm not sure we want to go down on the review.
Oh, yeah, you do. So I looked it up, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Charente it refers to a river in France that is named, they call it like the Saints River, because most of the regions in the area, or cities in the area, are Saint so-and-so, Saint Charente, Saint this, Saint that. And apparently it's a clean river in France, which I didn't know existed.
Well, and so more than likely then it's Charente.
Probably Charente, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate you looking that up and figuring out what that reference was.
I was
for
very
us.
curious. They're also known for cognac.
Well, there you go. So it's probably in the Cognac region of France.
And guess where the cognac barrels come from?
Probably the Cognac region of
Look
France,
at it. It's
somewhere
all
around the
connected.
Charente River.
All connected, which I like how
Imagine that.
Forgate does that. They
Yeah.
put a lot of effort and thought. On the nose, I get like soft caramel. It's not overly heavy. It's hints of it. And then I get muscadine grapes. Not regular grapes or anything else, but on the nose, I get muscadine grapes, which they have, if you've ever picked muscadines or anything else, it's a real thick skin. And it's more the skin of it is what I smell.
Okay.
Then on the palate,
So it's not the muscadine grape. It's the skin
it's
of the
skin of
muscadine
it.
grape.
It is the skin of
which
it.
is
That
oh so different.
It is very different than smelling. If you ever ate a muscadine, you know that the skin you tend to spit out because it's so leathery, but it has a distinct smell.
Wait. So now it's the smell of the skin of a muscadine grape. It's
Exactly.
not- okay.
Exactly. That's what's on the nose.
Is that the green or the purple one?
It's like the greeny gold ones. They're like a goldish color whenever they're ripe.
Keep going.
Specifics matter.
Yeah, they do. Keep going.
Then on the palate, I get a sweet tobacco on the front of the palate. Almost like a pipe tobacco kind of smell, but I get it in the flavor.
That's a good call out. Yes, I
So-
do get pipe tobacco. Yeah.
And
Now that you say that.
it goes so well because it's not vanilla. I would think sweet tobacco on it. And then I get like a heavy baking spice followed by like freshly ground black pepper or just like, the cracked black pepper. It is very, very abundant, very upfront. But man, it is good. Like at first I was like, ooh, cayenne. I was trying to figure it out because it's got a lot of spice, but it's not a burning spice. It's a baking or flavoring spice. So I definitely agree with you on freshly cracked black pepper. If you've ever had like real black pepper and you always buy it pre-done at the store, stop that. Buy it.
Get a
You just
grinder.
buy the grinder, do it yourself.
And here's the really interesting part. You say, and we say it has the flavor of fresh, cracked black pepper. Pepper doesn't really necessarily have a flavor. It is an irritant to the palate.
Yeah.
And that's what creates that flavor that's what creates that sensation of flavor in the palate. And that's what creates the heat is that it irritates everything.
Because it's not capsaicin, because capsaicin tends to be a temperature heat that you'll notice more in the palate, right? And this is so different. I wasn't expecting it. I was very, very surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised because it's not overly spicy either. I think it will be to some. It will be overly spicy, especially if you like something in the lower proofs that's a little sweeter. This dabbles in everything that I don't think it should. It's got the high enough spice. It's got the high enough proof. Like this is really well done, and it's nothing at all like you expect.
One of the things that I will notice, and we'll go to Danny in a second, one of the things that I've noticed is as I've gotten into the glass, it's about the third or fourth sip, the flavors start to balance out more. The first sip, I might have gotten too much heat. The second sip, I might have gotten too much pepper. Now about the third or fourth sip, I'm starting to get that balanced caramel, pepper, cognac finish that really sit pretty.
It's viscous, right? So like I'm probably on my third or fourth sip as well. And at that point, the palate is coated and it really kind of evens it all out because you no longer taste it in the individual portions of the palate. It's more all across it, and it's an experience to drink it at that point.
Agreed. Danny?
I just want to add a couple of things about the pronunciation.
Thank you. Please do.
And this comes from years of singing in classical choirs
Yeah.
and learning how to pronounce a whole lot of crazy languages.
Yeah.
But also many, many years of sleeping with a Guidry whose daddy was from Erath and is fairly fluent in French.
Cajun French, yes.
And the E at the end of a French word is rarely pronounced.
Okay.
So the likely pronunciation of this would be Charente.
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 I appreciate that.
With,
Charente.
with just a barely let the tip of your tongue touch the top of your mouth for the T. So Charente.
Okay.
Without the...
Look, this is why we have experts on the show, because jack of all trade, master of none, people who know, and that's what we should do. We should ask a lot of times. A lot of times we should ask, hey, am I getting this right? I'm glad we got somebody that we could ask.
And there's a good chance if my wife hears this, she'll say, what the heck were you talking about?
But I love that this is not Charente, it's Charente, which would go really well. I mean, and this to me is so much fun because I'm full on thinking we're Monty Python here. I Charente in your general direction, right? That sounds like a fun one to me. Okay, so we're going to go around. We're going to start rating this on the Morse Whiskey rating code. And we're going to play What Would You Pay for This Bottle? Now, We're not going to talk about what the pours of this will cost at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. We've told you what their special is. And by the way, they also do ridiculously cheap prices on other stuff too. But we're going to talk about the bottle, what this bottle would cost. So for those who are uninitiated to the show, if this is your first time listening, first of all, thank you. Second of all, the Morse Whiskey rating code is as follows. If it's a red, I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. If it's a yellow, I would only drink it if it was free. If it's a green, I would buy it. If it's a blue, I would seek this out. So that being said, Jonathan, let's start with you. Where do you rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code? And what would you pay for this bottle?
Like I said, this is right up my alley with the amount of sweet, like maybe a little bit, but I'm going to give this a blue.
Oh, okay. A blue right out of the gate.
Blue. Yeah. Yeah. Out of one of the 4 gates anyway. But,
okay. So 7 year.
7 year.
Finished in cognac casks, which means you know what that means. And it's a 4 gate.
And it's a 4 gate. I'm going to say 110.
110. Okay. Danny, what you thinking over there?
We don't have teal, do we?
Nope, we do not have teal. we do not have a color palette here.
The only teal I know goes quack.
Yes, and boom.
And then quack, quack, boom. Yep.
It's a definite green.
Okay. Solid green for you.
Yeah, solid green for me. I'm going to go $79.95.
$79.95. Caleb Morse.
This is a green for me. Like I really want to give it a blue. And maybe I'm being jaded right now because I have so many, but I don't think it's there. So, solid green, $124.99.
Okay. So for me, this is a definite green. This doesn't quite get to the level of blue for me. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't hit all of the profile that I really, really like. Now, maybe after a glass or two, it might settle in. And that's not going to be the proof talking. That would be just that the flavor profile has settled on the palate and it is that unique. It is that delicate because this is mature, even though it's 7 years. And I mean, bourbon can be at 7 years and be mature, but we typically think of bourbon being really mature 8, 10, 12 and up.
I think it's the cognac finish is what gets me because it gets that little bit of winey taste, which is good. But I think that's just not there for me.
And I think that's why Jonathan likes it so much. He likes a cognac finish.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Caleb. I think it is almost a little too whiny for me to be a blue. Is it still very good? Would I buy this? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy this. I walked in, money's no issue. You know, you're not worried about anything. Just somebody says pick a bottle, you get to buy one. But yeah, I'd absolutely take it, be thrilled with it, and it'd be fantastic. Now, where it lands on the Morse Whiskey rating code versus what would you pay is going to be real interesting. So the what would you pay championship belt, and this is what you got to remember about 4-gate. 4-gate is never going to be a bargain brand. 4-gate is always a premium.
Limited runs.
A high premium brand, limited runs. You're not going to get it again. So the what would you pay championship belt presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. Oh yeah, Caleb, just take it now. Somebody pass it to Caleb.
I've got to be within $5.
Not even close.
What?
This is a $199 bottle of whiskey.
Really?
Yeah, this is $199.
You know, I think we've had one of theirs. It was at like the $175 price point. Now some of the other ones. What was the one that we loved?
The Split Stave by Kelvin.
Yes,
was
that one was like
fantastic.
200 or so. Yeah,
And the Split Stave by Kelvin,
gosh.
worth every penny. Worth every penny. Not like Walker, who I pay weekly so he can, give me the finger from the corner, which he's doing now.
Such
telling
a
us that
proctologist.
it is that time. And yes, he is. Going with the whole fist there, Doc. We're going to come back right after this on Implicit Bias Radio. The stories that you're not going to get in other places, the discussions that you're not supposed to have in polite conversation. Cheers. They're getting pulled off the air left and right on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Why? Because they simply can't will the good of other for the sake of other. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio. And man, the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast layer. That's the TSPL for the uninitiated. We got a great crew this week and a great show. And we're going to dive right in because the topics, man, there's just a lot to discuss. So we're going to start here. Breaking news 24 hours before we recorded this episode of Implicit Bias Radio is that yet another late night talk show host has been canceled. And not necessarily canceled by the other side, canceled by the network that put him on the air. So we're going to go to the crew here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. I'll introduce them very quickly. Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade. We have Jonathan Broussard and Danny Izzo at the bar. All right, gentlemen. The question that I have for you is this. We were not fans of cancel culture when it happened a few years ago, and we had this show. What do we think about the canceling of Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely by his ABC network?
So I'll start. I don't think the government should regulate what we say, and the government's not. I do think that the public should determine what they want to hear and what they don't, right? I think that it's perfectly acceptable to be held accountable by your employer for the things you say. And if you say certain things, your employer can and should let you go. I'm perfectly fine with that. Here we have a people, I'm just going to use that term, that are upset that they're being canceled because of what they said, but at the same time, they are they're cheering and excited about a person who was killed for what he said. So if they're willing to go to the extremes, I say they, if they're willing to go to the extremes to kill someone for something they said that they found offensive, but true, then they should be willing to accept the consequences for what they said, which is simply the loss of employment.
So we do need to make this clarification on the show. We absolutely believe in the right to free speech.
Oh, I think you should be able to say whatever you want.
You governmentally have the right. Your employer also has the right, because they're a private entity, to do what they will. Just because you have free speech does not mean you are free of consequences.
Consequences exist
from free speech.
I don't want us having what they have in the UK, where we have individuals who are arrested for a social media post. I think that's ludicrous.
Over 12,000 arrests this year for public speech in the UK. That is insane.
You should be able to walk down the street and say what you want. If it offends someone, you should be willing to accept the consequence of that. Earlier today, I was filling up, getting some diesel, and said a comment. I said a bad word. I said a no word. Walker's already blushing.
No, not you, Caleb.
And when I saw her, I immediately apologized. I said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that in public. And she goes, well, my goodness. Someone who believes that they should apologize. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I shouldn't have said that word no matter what in public. So if you understand that and you think that, look, people should apologize for certain things, even if he apologizes, he said it, he should be held accountable for it.
All right, to the bar. What are we thinking? Are we on board with Jimmy Kimmel being canceled by CBS? Because the argument, Caleb, is going to be, and at the bar, Danny, the argument's going to be, well, the only reason they canceled him is because the sitting president said, I want the FCC to look at ABC and those who put him on the air, because what he said was a lie.
Right.
Thoughts?
I think that's one of the things that's lost in this conversation is what he said was a straight up lie.
And let's clarify that for the audience. So what Jimmy Kimmel said was that the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk was a Donald Trump supporter. He was a Make America Great Again party loyalist. Mm-hmm. And the reality is you have multiple sources, not just one, multiple sources, including testimony from people who said they saw, they witnessed behavior that totally contradicts what Jimmy Kimmel said.
Right. So, I mean, what he said is easily provably incorrect.
Patently false.
Yes. Other things that are lost in this whole conversation are the cancel culture was largely large groups of people being upset and saying, we're going to boycott on both sides. That's happened on both sides.
It has.
Part of the cancel culture for a long time was actually being promoted by factions within the government.
So I love where you're going here with this, and this is why. When leftists tried to protest and give just cancel culture by boycott, it never worked. Remember, they boycotted Chick-fil-A? How'd that work out for them? It didn't work out for them. So what did they do? And how all of this started? Cancel culture started with a bakery in the Northwest. And they didn't say, don't give them business. Somebody targeted the bakery with a request that they knew would not be fulfilled, and then they judge shopped and they filed a lawsuit. They
Right.
got the government to cancel the bakery, not the private entity canceling itself, which is what we're seeing with Jimmy Kimmel.
Now, on the other hand, conservatives were relatively successful canceling Bud Light for a long period of time, canceling Target for a long period of
Very
time.
successful.
They were moderately successful in that.
What do you mean that conservatives have more spending power?
Or do you mean that conservatives are more convicted in what they believe?
Does it matter?
Both.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
it's just two different things. One didn't work very well, and I think probably because of lack of conviction, and one worked fairly well because of conviction. But the other thing that I think is missing in this is Jimmy Kimmel's ratings have been
They were abysmal anyway.
falling into the sewer.
They were at their highest when he was on the Man Show. And
Yeah.
then whenever
And-
all of a sudden he changed who he was
And-
or gave truth to who he was.
The same with Colbert. Colbert's show has been losing, what, $40 million a year?
Yes.
And Kimmel's show, I don't know that anybody's crunched his numbers yet, but I would guess he's maybe not in the same league with Colbert, but I'm guessing they're probably losing money on his show. And they're definitely losing money or seeing money being lost in lawsuits that are working against them when they allow their people on the air and lie.
Okay, Jonathan, I'm curious as to your thoughts here because I've got some thoughts here that we haven't necessarily touched on and we have to before this segment's over.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Danny that, been losing money. Maybe this is just a way to stop the bleeding. And I got to admit, I don't know a whole lot about the story. I haven't watched late night since Johnny Carson retired.
You are testimony to this right now. That's the whole point.
Right.
So let me give you some
But
background.
I'm still under, the old adage that you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, And,
So let me give you the background on how some of this works. So Jimmy Kimmel is a syndicated show. It is produced by ABC, and then it is sold to all the affiliates. So what prompted this? A couple of major affiliates, some with over 200 individual stations, said, we're not doing this. Well, take a guess what syndication means. Syndication means those individual stations pay for that content on a nightly basis. I am aware, and I'm going back a few years here, that a show like Wheel of Torture is like $2,500 to $4,000 a day, depending on the market. So now start taking 200 stations, start taking 400 stations times, say, $3,000 to $4,000, $5,000 a day that have said, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. We're not airing it, which means all the revenue, it is as dry as Rosie O'Donnell's heart.
Not where I thought you were going, but well done.
I tried to stay family friendly there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You brought up Rosie.
Yeah, well, but-
and look, what we're talking about too, like you said, he said a lie. The truth is indifferent of your offense or opinion. The truth is the truth. This my truth and your truth thing does not exist. There is one truth. You have different vantage points and perceptions, but there is still one truth.
and here's the big telltale part here. The telltale that Jimmy Kimmel lied is that they canceled him. If Jimmy Kimmel wasn't lying, what does the production company do? They tell him, okay, you're going to take it off the air. You go ahead, let him sue us. Nobody cares because you're going to take us to court and you're going to lose. The attorneys got involved and went, uh-oh, Jimmy went out there and said something that, like Danny said, is patently false. We can prove that what he said was a smear and a lie against potentially not just one person in a sitting president, but potentially against an entire voting base. When the attorneys realize that they have exposure, what do? They limit exposure. That's why Jimmy Kimmel got canceled, because they knew Jimmy Kimmel lied. They knew they could be held culpable, which means they could be held financially responsible for what Jimmy Kimmel said if they didn't take action. So they had to take action to get him off the air because he was running unchecked, saying stuff he shouldn't have said, and lying to the American public. And that is borderline criminal.
And when you take into account that one of theirs has already had a judgment against them,
Yep.
and the whole argument that, Kimmel's being canceled for comedy, he was not doing comedy.
Well, you have to be funny to be doing comedy, and he
Right.
wasn't funny. Neither is Walker, and Walker's telling me we got a minute.
And I mean, he was just doing a monologue
That wasn't funny.
that wasn't funny, and I don't believe in any way, shape, or form was meant to be funny.
And that is the great shift of the left. Every leftist who is lamenting Jimmy Kimmel got canceled for doing comedy, when you get told what you can and can't say for your opinion, what he stated was not opinion. He stated something as fact that was not fact. That the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin was a MAGA, Make America Great Again supporter, when we have proof and we have testimony, we have eyewitness accounts otherwise, proves Jimmy Kimmel was not trying to be funny. He was not engaged in comedy or satire. He was trying to state fact to the American public that was in fact false and a lie. What is not a lie is that Walker is going to send us to break whether we like it or not. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Final segment, hour one, Walker. When
Yes,
we come
sir.
back. When we come back, cheers on Implicit Bias Radio. We're getting to be 2, 3, 4 weekly whiskeys in on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. It's a great crew in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. And man, the stories, as you would imagine, are fire because it is 2025 and it is showing no signs of stopping. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Co-host Caleb Morse is sitting in the chair much like mine. He's got a weekly whiskey or so, Caleb?
Yeah, this is Orso.
Or so?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is now glass number 3.
Shocker. This is my shocked face. We're only like 20 minutes into recording. And at the bar, Danny Izo of Nuvo Photo and Jonathan Broussard of Industrial Fabrication Services here with us, enjoying weekly whiskeys and solving the problems of the world in 2 hours or less. Okay, so we just talked about Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled. We talked about why Jimmy Kimmel got canceled. And if you missed any of that, find us on podcasts, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Just go pull us up. You can go listen to previous segments or find us on YouTube where you can find the whole show. It's Implicit Bias Radio. Follow, watch the show, put it on while you're working in the background. We appreciate it because we're going to give you the stories that other places aren't. There's another reason why Jimmy Kimmel might have been canceled. Does anyone know or remember the repealing of the Smith-Mundt Act? Anybody know what the Smith-Mundt Act did? Danny, what did it do since you're shaking your head over there? Grab that microphone. You're going to need to eat it.
The Smith-Mundt Act, as I recall, prohibited the federal government from using essentially propaganda on the American people the way they'd been using it in foreign countries for color revolutions and all kinds of stuff like that. It prohibited the government from doing that to the American people.
Specifically, it prohibited, yes, the American government and media outlets from
Yes.
intentionally lying to the American people. In other words, for a long time in the United States, it was illegal for a television broadcast to go lie about something that was factual. That got repealed.
Yes, it did.
Imagine having people that you're forced to tell the truth.
But imagine saying, this is a bad thing. We're going to repeal this.
Right.
This is even worse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
the fact that they did repeal it and the fact that I'm sure people were happy they repealed it because now they're like, I can go back to spreading lies.
Well, now all of a sudden, people are paying a lot of attention to the Smith-Mundt Act. So if you go on X, a young lady was saying, I want this to reach the president of the United States, tag POTUS. People started promoting it, and he apparently retweeted, retruthed the video where she said, you've got to actually reinforce and reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act because this is a problem. We are now recognizing it's a problem. Jonathan?
So essentially, the gloves are off for media and propaganda by doing so, right? And dare I take a guess to when and who repealed this?
Why don't you? Why not?
I'm going to say Obama.
Barack Hussein Obama. Actually, not Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro. Barry Soetoro is the person who signed the repealing of the Smith-Mundt Act. Now, I want you to think about where this takes us as a country. Because if it used to be illegal to knowingly spread false information as a major media outlet, does that not mean that the place we are today, where people say, I don't know, I no longer know what to believe. I don't know whether to believe my eyes, which sees something, or do I believe what the media is telling me? Because they're two different things. Repealing the Smith-Mundt Act created that matrix.
Well, it goes to show that we need to do our own research and investigate for ourselves as well, because even though it was illegal, we've been being lied to for quite some time. And it takes individuals wanting to learn the truth. And what's scary is the truth will set you free, but it'll make you look pretty crazy.
What's the difference between a conspiracy theorist and the legacy news media, Caleb?
What answer do you want me to give?
It's about 6 months, right? I mean, that's where we are, right?
That's giving it time. If
you take a step back and think about everything the conspiracy theorists said in the last 5 to 7 years that has now come true. Let's see. COVID was man-made.
Aliens are real.
Check. We're being visited by something outside of, whether it's outside of this dimension, outside of this planet, whatever. Check. I mean, when you think even
the far left was bribing Russian and Ukrainian individuals to be involved in an election.
Check. They were spying on a presidential campaign. Check. I mean, just keep going down the list. We don't have enough time to list it all out here.
Oh, and I have more after this last week. I have more conspiracies to go down.
When was the Smith-Mundt Act passed?
I believe it was right after World War II.
Okay.
So we had an example of what happened.
From the 40s until 2013.
Correct. And Caleb, I'm going to ask you to, if you can check that and see when the Smith-Mundt Act was
Actually,
passed.
I have it pulled
confirm
up.
when it was passed, but it had been around for a very long time. And really what we have to understand historically in the United States, for those of you who are under
1948.
for those of you who are under the age of, say, you're not Gen X. Matter of fact, Walker, I'm going to ask you, because this is a perfect reference point, and this is not to embarrass you in any way, shape, or form. Were you taught in history class about the era of yellow journalism?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, so
I haven't been to school in a little while, so.
Look, Walker went to a good school. Not that he paid attention, but Walker went to a good school. I know where Walker went to school. He went to one of the premier secondary education institutions in the area. And he was not taught yellow journalism. Does anybody remember what yellow journalism was? Danny, I mean, you remember. You were there.
Well, it's basically what we're talking about now. Just journalists saying whatever the heck they wanted in order to sway the public.
So you essentially had two newspapers who were going back and forth. Mm-hmm. I believe it was, and I'm going to say the names. I'm going to ask you to check this on for me, Caleb. William Randolph Hearst and Pulitzer, who were publishers of major newspapers. And in order to sell newspapers, they were making up more and more and more outlandish headlines and stories. And literally,
How do you remember this stuff?
you don't?
No.
The point is, I was a journalism major, right?
Not valid.
But
I
the
went to
point
public
is,
school.
the point is, you literally had newspapers lying to sell more newspapers it was the late 20s, early 30s. So you get this era of media lying to the public. And by the way, what is the most prestigious prize in journalism today? What do they call them?
The
Pulitzer Prizes. So you're telling me that the award for journalists today is named after a guy that they had to put in check because his people were lying all the time? That's where the media is today.
Imagine that. Someone lying to you and you not realizing it in broad daylight.
Pulitzer and Hearst, yellow journalism. Please, for all that is holy, as Ricky Bobby would say, dear sweet baby, 7-pound baby Jesus, please don't believe us. Go look this up. And Walker's given me that finger, and that's the one hard out we have, which means, though, Danny, we got more of this coming. We got more of this coming. We got more topics. We're going to talk a little more Charlie Kirk. because we've got to dive into that story and what do we believe here. We're going to get into more Weekly Whiskey because in hour 2, it's always more fun on Implicit Bias Radio because we're on about Weekly Whiskey 3 or 4. And we're going to continue to solve the topics of the world, talk about the things you're not supposed to discuss in polite conversation when we come back on Implicit Bias Radio. Cheers. The rabbit holes are getting deep. We're wishing the good of other for the sake of other on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. And the Weekly Whiskey is absolutely fantastic. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio, where we've got a great crew. Hour 2 is always more fun because guess what? Hour 2, we've had more Weekly Whiskey. Let me introduce you to the crew. Starting at the bar, Jonathan Broussard of Industrial Fabrication Services. He doesn't want to talk. He just wants to drink. Danny Izzo of Nuvo Photo is with us. Danny, it's a pleasure to have you back as well.
Always
and then, of course, Caleb Morse, the rustic renegade here, Walker in the corner. And in the monologue, we told you we are willing the good of other for the sake of others. So we have to preface all of this conversation with this. There are people we disagree with. We disagreed vehemently with Joe Biden while he was in office. When we heard that he had a terminal cancer diagnosis, our prayers went out to his family. We don't wish ill on anyone. We might poke fun after a while when it's okay, but we're not in any way, shape, or form the flat out demons who are wishing for the murder of other human beings because they disagree with you. And don't say my existence is threatened. Nobody's been hung up. Nobody's been put in camps. It ain't happening. You've been lied to.
People cry for violence when they don't know violence.
So speaking of that, that's a great segue, Caleb, because you know violence.
Enough. I know enough of it.
Now, for those out there who hunt, for those out there who have taken life, not necessarily human life, you maybe have some experience, not just with the type of weaponry that the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin supposedly used, according to the FBI. And if you've got experience with that and other physical mammal bodies and expiring those bodies, I don't know how much you believe what we are being told about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So let's start with what we're being told.
Let's just look at 30-06.
Well, hold on. We're told lone shooter,
Yeah.
140 yards away,
Yeah.
planned it allegedly, what, a week in advance? A week and a half in advance?
Yeah, 10 days. We're good.
Yep. And with a high caliber round, high velocity, we're talking, significant weight to the round.
Mm-hmm.
So significant foot-pounds of torque when it hits. And we're told that's it. Lone shooter.
Let's say that he's using a 180 grain. Grains are the weight of the bullet. The weight pounds are the weight of people, okay? So 180 grain, 30-06. We'll call it 3,200 feet per second. That's going to hit with some good foot-pounds of energy. I can't give you a realistic number or a quick number off the top of my head, but at 140 yards, at 200 yards, hitting soft tissue, muscle, meat, and bone on a deer. Let's say you get a good lung shot, go through the lungs, strike the heart, go through the ribs. It will go through both sides, exit the other side because you have excess energy, and that energy has to be dissipated somewhere.
And goes in like a pencil.
Goes in, you'll have a
comes
30
out
caliber
like a
hole,
baseball.
and you'll have about a 3.5, 4 inch exit wound, depending on the bullet you're shooting. Now, it can be more, it can be less, and that's what a 30-06. Creep it forward a little bit, 140 yards, we're moving faster. You're still going to have over-penetration. The round is going to go all the way through, especially on a human neck. Human neck, overall circumference, we'll call that 10 to 12 inches, right? Where a deer, we're talking 18 to 20.
You're talking significant bone on a deer. You're
Right.
talking significant cartilage, everything in the middle.
We have thinner, smaller, softer bones. That round would, a 30-06, would have passed 100% through, especially through the neck of a human being. So I believe much smaller caliber. Much smaller caliber. Now, look, there's those out there that are saying, oh, he was wearing a vest. They've said he was wearing a vest. Okay, let's talk ballistics. Do yourself a favor and look up Safariland. Safariland makes really good body armor. Traditional body armor is soft body armor. Level 2 and 3. Well, 2, 3, and 3A. Let's say he's wearing level 3A soft body armor. Level 3A soft body armor will stop a 44 Magnum. You know what a 30-06 is? Much more than a 44 Magnum.
Yep.
So to stop a rifle cartridge, you have to wear hard rifle plates. Soft armor to stop backface deformation. 44 millimeters of backface deformation will kill a human being. And hard armor, which is about an inch and a quarter thick for good armor. Let's say he's wearing really good armor that's going to be a ceramic aramid hybrid. That's about $700 a plate. It's going to weigh 3.5 to 4 pounds per plate. He's going to have a front and a back plate on. He's going to look quite buff. He's going to look bigger than he normally would. And his movement would be restricted. So standing and sitting the way he was, you would see a multi-curve plate, shooter cut for comfort. You would see that plate.
So say regardless of all that, he still has it on. He's got on the body armor that it's Charlie Kirk. The man is worth millions of dollars. He's probably going to have the good stuff. If he's got the soft stuff on, it's not going to stop the round. It's going to go straight through. It's not going to fragment.
Rifle round's going to go straight through, maybe stop on the other side.
If it's the good stuff.
If he's wearing rifle plates, he's going to wear a ceramic, Aramid or ceramic 3M or something hybrid that's meant to absorb spalling.
Which is the fragmenting of the round.
It's the fragmented jacket of the round, which is what they're saying hit him in the neck if he was wearing plates, which the ceramic plate would catch. And these are multi-hit plates. They're good for 65 rounds at a time. So, I mean, I don't want to say somebody's full of it, but a lot of people are full of it, and we're not being told the full story.
Okay, so let's go to the bar. Initial reaction. What do you think of the lone shooter, worked by himself, wrote text to his boyfriend, partner, whatever? You buy the story, Jonathan?
I think it's a lot. It's a very expansive story, first of all. I think maybe it was possible. But hearing what y'all talking about is making me rethink what I saw. Because I'm a deer hunter. And I know what happens to that body when I shoot it.
When a round goes through both sides of a rib cage versus soft tissue of the neck.
That's right. Oh, listen, I've shot a deer in the neck, and it did a backflip with a 308.
Yep.
And we didn't see that. And it's making me rethink what I actually saw.
Danny, your thoughts on this? I'll let you chime in before I give you some other thoughts for this.
At this point, I'm just confused.
Well, confused is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you're asking questions. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you some of the things that now jump out at me, because I'm one of those that says, look at the big picture and tell me if the mosaic, when you're stepped back 50 feet, makes sense. So let's start here. Gentleman by the name of Zinn. Older gentleman, front row. So there are two things immediately that happen right as the assassination essentially goes down. First of all, you have an older gentleman arrested with a pellet gun. And he is screaming, shoot me now, shoot me now, shoot me now, as they walk him out. And allegedly, I'm not there, I didn't talk to the man, but allegedly, the man says, I was there to create a distraction. You then have, right after the round is fired, there is a picture of someone who has turned around, looked in the direct line of the shooter, alleged shooter, with his arms up in the air like he's celebrating. Now, I don't know about you. Shot rings out of nowhere, comes over my head, hits a man in the neck, and kills him in front of me. I'm ducking cover. I'm not turn around and celebrate and look where it came from. So you've got two people who are giving significant indicators that they are a part of this conversation.
Well, let's make it more complicated. Mr. Zinn.
I'm about to say Zinn has been in a couple of places for a couple of things.
September 11th.
He got interviewed for September 11th.
He said he was an eyewitness. After the Boston Marathon, he was charged and confessed with sending a bomb to, which marathon was that? Or was that a different facility or something?
I don't remember what.
Salt Lake.
Yeah, Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Salt Lake. He sent a bomb. Within a month after the Boston Marathon bombing, he mailed a bomb threat. I don't want to say bomb because I don't know if he did. I know he mailed a bomb threat. But confessed to that.
Somebody ran the odds on him being at September 11th.
And he should buy a lottery ticket.
And the situation he was involved in where he was arrested for that, and then him being at the Charlie Kirk assassination. And it's like 1 in billions. Billions.
You know, what was that website where you could go and rent a crowd?
Well, you never know, right? So now I'm going to give you the one that makes me go, go ahead,
I have
Danny.
a question.
Yeah.
So Zinn had a pellet gun.
Yes.
Could a pellet gun have caused what we saw?
Maybe. No, he was shooting a crack barrel pellet gun. He was front row, so he's within 20, 25 feet.
17 caliber
If he's
pellet
shooting a
gun?
177 or a 22 caliber pellet gun, potentially. Potentially it could, because I mean it does cause some damage. I mean, you're moving 1,000 feet per second at that point. But
And I mean, if the penetration goes in and the bullet hits a major artery
yeah,
or something.
but
Yeah.
it would be very visible. Very visible, because that pellet rifle he's holding is a full-size rifle. It's 44 inches. We'll do 42 inches overall length. You would have imagery of him holding that rifle.
That makes sense.
I'm more of the mindset of 40 to 60 feet away, small caliber, suppressed, probably a handgun or something similar.
So I'm going to jump in on this and tell you that the next thing that made me go, this story's just not adding up. Within the last 24 hours of us recording this show, they have allegedly released texts between the alleged shooter and his partner, boyfriend, whatever.
Autobot.
And somebody plugged those in to AI and asked, is this authentic? There's a lot there. Number one, AI said most likely this is not. It's too nice. It's too neat. There's too much information. The language was wrong. So one thing I learned in covering news stories, you have a conversation with a police department over something that happened. You don't go back and write, this person was involved in an altercation. That is police language. You say this person got in a fight, because there's vernacular and then there's formal law enforcement type language. How many people do you know who uses the word vehicle as opposed to car or truck? Very few people today at the age of 22, 23 use the word vehicle. That's what he uses in the text. There's no timestamps on the texts. There's a lot going on there that make you go, man, I need to be suspicious of this.
I did hear someone address some of this
Okay.
by way of the gaming chat rooms that he frequented, and said that in those chat rooms, this over proper language is pretty much de rigueur.
So I'd be really interested to see those, because here's what I know. What I know is my 19 and 23-year-old abbreviate as much as they can. There is a shorthand language that is utilized specifically through text, because nobody's giving the same type of typed message through text that they're giving through PC gaming chat rooms, because in PC gaming chat rooms, they're on a keyboard, full two-hand keyboard. On a phone, they're texting with thumbs. So I don't know becomes IDK. What the becomes WTF. Around, out becomes FAFO. None of that in these. Full punctuation. Now, the one thing that I wanted to look for, I just didn't have time. Are there any Oxford commas? No, I'm serious. Are there double spaces after periods? Because those would be
grammar.
significant grammar markers of someone much older.
Well, and have y'all gone down the rabbit hole?
There we
And
go with the old people thing again.
I haven't seen proof
More
of
educated.
this yet, but not Charlie Kirk. Sorry, Tyler Robinson, right? That's his name.
Yes.
Was seen
That's the
wearing a
alleged
shirt,
shooter.
a Be the Change shirt, the DSA. Have you seen that?
Okay, so we're not necessarily going to go down the Democratic Socialist of America funding rabbit hole,
Okay.
because
All right.
because we don't. There's not nearly.
I
enough
haven't
proof.
seen enough proof on that yet.
There is zero credible sourcing to say that there were government funds going
Yes.
through certain politicians that funded the DSA, and the DSA funded him. That was an accusation
It
made
intrigues
in
me.
the
He
internet.
was wearing the shirt. We know that,
but it's an accusation made on the internet with zero credible sourcing. Once we get some credible sourcing, if we ever get it, we'll talk about that.
And I've been trying to look at it and see.
But here's, again, I'm not saying Charlie Kirk didn't get shot, which we
No,
mourn.
I mean I feel so bad for his
I feel
widow,
terrible for his wife, his
children.
family, right? I'm not saying that we're full on, this is a movie on this just yet. But what I am saying is this. The story that we have been told. Right now, I'm having a really hard time believing all of it because of the round that was allegedly used, the ability to take apart a rifle that takes minutes and significant tooling to take apart, that takes someone who has allegedly never shot another human being before, pulling off potentially the shot of his life with a round that should have done significantly more damage that never did. I mean, when you think about the ballistics of this, when you really start just asking some logical questions.
Well, even discounting that and looking at when in the video we saw of him running on a rooftop,
Did he have a rifle in that
where
video?
was anything like a rifle? And yet they have a text message or a message that says, look for the rifle wrapped in a towel at the base of this tree. How the hell did it get there? Unless the rifle was there in the beginning as a diversionary tactic and someone else was shooting. Because everything we have, that's missing. That is 100% missing. We don't have a weapon that was seen being removed from the crime scene.
Yeah, I'm all over the place with this. One of the things I wonder about multiple shootings is how come he's still alive? Because, in your typical conspiracy, the shooter dies before anybody questions him.
Agreed.
Could it be the, what's his name, Gin fella?
Zin.
Zin fella. Was he willing to die for his cause? And the reason he was begging or pleading for someone to shoot him was to
Plenty of people
be
are
the
willing.
patsy.
be the patsy.
Plenty of people are willing to die for their cause.
And in the
Fewer
story
living
right
to
there.
live.
But maybe someone took a better precaution about finalizing the answers all the way through.
What I know is this. I can't point the finger at any other suspect. It's not like I'm there to do the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
What I know is that, again, what we are being told, 1 + 1 + 1 here is not equaling 3. And that's an issue.
And I guess part of the issue for me is I am just so ready for law enforcement at every level to just be open, upfront, and honest.
And
Tell us what's going on.
Well, and the hard part is because the system in our country is that people are innocent until proven guilty. It's why we say the alleged shooter. They can't give you all the information on ongoing investigations before someone's prosecuted. And you don't want them to, because if this is not the right guy, the evidence they have is pointing them to someone else at some point. That's
Right.
if it's not the right one.
But whatever you're going to give us the truth.
Agreed.
Give us the actual facts.
Whether it makes me feel good or not,
Right.
I want the truth.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't necessarily want this to be solved quickly. I want it to be solved correctly. And that is what we're going to do for you as we continue this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. More Weekly Whiskey is coming up. Cheers. It's not just in the United States, it's all over the world on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We are solving the problems of the world. We're probably, 4 or 5 Weekly Whiskeys in now at this point, because hour 2 is always more fun. Again, if you missed any segment of the show, please go find us on our socials. Go to YouTube, find Implicit Bias Radio, microphone with the whiskey glass in the bottle. Subscribe, follow. You can find full shows and segments there. In the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair, we've got Jonathan Broussard of Industrial Fabrication Services, Danny Izzo of Nuvo Photo, Caleb Morse, he is the Rustic Renegade. Okay, gents, so the last week was absolutely crazy. And we are legitimately wishing... Why are you coughing, Walker? Oh, that's Caleb. Are you okay?
Took a man-sized swig. Thank you.
Suck it up, brother.
Yeah, I tried to.
All right. Yeah, apparently you did, which I know apparently you're used to as well. So it shouldn't have been that
Yeah,
much of a
look,
problem.
it shouldn't
All
have
right.
been.
So it has been happening, not just in the United States, that things have gone crazy. It has been happening all over the world. So last week, we actually had a story teed up because a couple of days before September 10th, the country of Nepal was having some issues of their own. Caleb, I know you're aware of what was going on. Jonathan, Danny, y'all can give me just a head nod. Did y'all see what was going on in Nepal? Nothing from Jonathan. Danny, not necessarily sure. So,
I
Caleb,
remember hearing the name.
do you want to walk him through it, Caleb, or you want me to do it?
Bro, they burned down Parliament.
Yes.
In Nepal?
Yes.
Oh,
like-
and they went farther than burning down Parliament. They lynched politicians.
Yes.
And their wives. Oh, now Danny just took a big swig.
Yeah.
Oh, lynching politicians. That
Oh,
just kinda-
dude.
Right. So this happens in Nepal a few days before Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Political revolution in Nepal. And guess what? Nepal isn't the only country. Where else is it going on, Caleb? And save the big one for last.
I'm stuck on the big one right now.
Well, give us then some of the others. If you
Well,
don't-
I'm stuck there. Like my brain is stuck on it, and that's what I want to say.
well, then let's just use the big one.
London.
So in the last 2-3 days, mass protests in London. And not to oppose Donald Trump, because the BBC will tell you, 50,000 people showed up. Well, yeah. Anyway, they are overinflating that number.
And that's a drop.
Yeah. The estimate of the number of people who showed up to protest the existing left-wing government initially started as several 100,000. Then it jumped to what, Caleb?
Isn't it like 2 million?
Well, it jumped to 1 at first.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, 3 million. 3 million people protesting the sitting left-wing government in Great Britain.
Didn't Paris have one as well?
You had them in multiple countries all over the world.
People are just done.
There is a global movement happening right now. And if you think the globalists aren't trying to fight it. So look, I'm not going, there's some James Bond villain looking to take over the world, even though Klaus Schwab really fit that mold if you thought about it. But there are entities like the UN that want to send troops, and they've talked about sending troops into the United States. If you remember, it was a big deal because the UN wanted us to sign a treaty that would hand over rule of U.S. government in case of a pandemic or something like that. The UN is desirous to put their government over our government on top of American people,
Stupid blue helmets.
which means that there, by definition, are people who are globalists who are trying to put the world under, yes, one world government. Stop and think about that.
Well, I mean, and if you followed the show, you've known we talked about before with the Georgia Guidestones as well. There are people that want to rule for some reason, and I think that we should be ungovernable and unrulable.
I am desirous that the UN pick up their marbles and move anywhere.
Well,
Well,
look how
New
mad
York.
they were when we stopped paying our dues.
Oh.
We pay 2/3 of the dues for the UN.
Ring the bell. Caleb literally took the
Where
words
is the
right
bell?
out of...
Ding, ding, ding.
There we go.
Tug messed up the bell? We don't have the bell back?
He put it under Walker clinch real quick.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. So,
Thank you.
so
I haven't seen you clinch that fast in years.
why did the UN throw such a hissy fit when we started shutting down all the money the US was sending to other countries and to non-governmental organizations and to the UN and to the World Health Organization, which, by the way, the World Health Organization was the one that wanted the ability to oversee the US
Yep.
government with regards to pandemics and things like that. The UN, though, did want to have the ability to send UN troops here and oversee US government elections and all. Do we really trust the UN? No. And the whole point of this is this. There are globalists and they are losing. The globalists have lost control of multiple countries around the globe where nationalism is starting to peak again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And because of that, they're losing their.
Yes, there's no doubt. So it starts to make you wonder if the globalists are seeing this kind of movement in other countries, especially when you think first world countries like the United States and Great Britain. Number one, where else is this happening? Number two, how far will they go? What will they do to shut it down and keep it?
We calling it global protest. Couldn't we call it something different because we've seen it here? Global revival?
I don't think it's global revival. I think it is a mass awakening.
Well, awakening to God's plan and bringing them.
I think it's...
The Bible says there will be war before there's peace. So, maybe this is the beginning of something.
Well, and
We
the
don't
Bible
wish for war.
says
We don't wish for it.
no,
Absolutely
and the
not.
Bible says that those of us that follow Him will know strife, right? So it will be difficult. It also says that sell your cloak and buy a sword. You should be prepared for violence, so understand and keep it at bay. Doesn't mean you should ever ask for it. That's why when you look at those that are begging for violence, these are the same people that have never had violence done upon them or done violence upon others. Because once you have, you never want to go to war. Rich men start wars and poor men fight them.
Mm-hmm. The awakening that we are seeing globally. And please, I urge you, jump on X, follow at Implicit Bias Radio. We repost a lot of this stuff. We also talk a lot of stupid stuff like sports and fun guy stuff and all that. But at the end of the day, what we are seeing globally, that the news media, the same people who are no longer under the guidelines and the law of the Smith-Mundt Act, the stuff they are not telling you about, it's on X. You're seeing this. Now, we do have to worry about AI. I'll be the first one to say we have to worry about AI with everything we see because AI has gotten so good. You legitimately, if you are watching it, unless you have it analyzed by another AI program, you won't know it's AI. That's how good it is. But we have seen enough evidence to honestly believe that there is a global awakening to the corruption. There is a global awakening to the intent. There is a global awakening to the desire to rule tyrannically over human beings with one set of rulers. And that, in our implicit bias, is a really bad thing. Not the awakening, but the group of people that want to rule. The awakening, that is a blessing. And that is something that has got to have people, these people who want to rule, it's got to have them all tied up in knots. Because I believe they've tried pretty much everything.
Not everything yet, but we have them on their back, on their heels right now. We need to keep them there.
And I believe that tide has turned, right? If you've ever seen Simon Sinek, anybody know who Simon Sinek is? He's a very famous speaker. He does a lot with business. He does a lot with regards to business culture and things of that nature. He's got a really interesting video out there where he talks about power is always derived from the people. It's why elections are faked in order to make it look like they have power from the people. But it's also why those same people who fake elections don't allow people within 500 yards of them or within 500 yards of where they live. Because while they claim to have power from the people, the only thing they actually fear is the people, because all power comes and is derived from the people. In other words, we have the power. We just have to exercise it, and we have to exercise it the right way, which is by telling like Gen Z, who gives you the finger and thinks they get to control everything, that they need to stick it. Because is this the penultimate segment?
That we're going into.
Okay, penultimate segment next. Well, then I guess, Walker, we will take a break. We'll be back. More Implicit Bias Radio right after this. The UK, Australia, South Korea, Japan, Budapest, Paris, all protest against left-wing governments, unfettered immigration, and censorship by the government was what was being protested. Mass protests globally to wrap up last segment here in the penultimate segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. As Caleb munches on pizza as we try to get this segment recorded.
Yeah. And like South Korea surprises me. Like I spent some time there, about 10 months, and they're I'm not going to call them conservative. They're pretty center, if not left. Firearms heavily restricted. They don't believe in violence or fighting, although they like to kick. And they're just a pretty docile people. So to see them protesting is pretty, like, I want to see that.
It's a worldwide awakening. This is Implicit Bias Radio. I'm Kevon Bordelon at the bar. We've got Danny Izzo of Nuvo Photo. We've got Jonathan Broussard of Industrial Fabrication Services. And this is where the segments get into the point where I always like to go different. I always like to do something a little different in our last couple of segments because we got to have fun on the show, right? We got to do some stuff that's not always so heavy. And unfortunately, 2025 has just been heavy. So this is one that I did not know. Like when I saw this story, I went, man, are you kidding me? I knew that the actual London Bridge is in Kansas City? Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's in the United States.
The actual London Bridge?
The actual London Bridge. The London Bridge is falling down.
Yeah, so when they fell down, they brought it to Kansas City, right? Apparently?
It was going to be taken down. They moved it. They brought it to the United States. Go ahead, Caleb, Google it because I know that's what you're doing. But this one, when I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me?
I mean, I know where you're going now.
So as Catholic and as Christian as we are in this show, if you are always looking for a place to go see maybe a really cool site that brings Catholicism, Christianity, history, all into play, believe it or not, Wisconsin has a medieval relic basically unto itself. Now, I don't know if it qualifies fully as a Catholic relic because it is not a part of a saint, but there are different versions of relics. So, for example, a Class 1 relic is like a part of the body or something of that nature, a part of the skeleton. A Class 2 relic would be something that they touched or an article of clothing or something of that nature, or article of 2 might be Class 2 might be an article of clothing. Class 3 might be something they touched. So this would technically, I guess, be a relic. But the chapel where St. Joan of Arc prayed is now in Wisconsin. It was originally in France. It had fallen into disrepair. And then it was moved to the campus of Marquette University. Who knew? You could know Marquette's a Catholic university, but who knew that if you want to go see the chapel where St. Joan of Arc would pray in France, you have to come to the United States.
You know, if we don't have the old world architecture, and it's Lake Havasu, Arizona is where it is, because I looked it up.
London Bridge is in
Lake Havasu, Arizona.
okay. I thought it was Kansas for some reason.
Well, I looked it up. And
Okay,
it's
appreciate it.
the exterior masonry was brought here, not the core.
Okay.
But we apparently have old world Britain here in the U.S. in a few spots. I think that's pretty damn cool.
What I find even more interesting is that as you start looking at real archaeology, you get even more hazy, I guess. You get more fog because the official story is Columbus discovered the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus discovered the New World, North America, right? He discovered the Americas. And then if you go to the New England area, you find Viking artifacts. Hold on. Let me see how my timelines go here. I'm pretty sure the Vikings were around long before
Just a little bit before.
Columbus. So number one is the history that we have been taught. And this chapel does not fall under that because this literally was physically picked up and moved. But have we maybe been given versions of history that aren't true versions of history?
I mean, we all know that history is written by the victor, right?
Correct.
So I definitely think there's a lot of truth that we don't know. And I get intrigued with history. I get intrigued with like where we are today versus where we came from. When we look at the architecture, we look at things like artwork. We look at things like pillars, maybe in the Grand Canyon and in Tennessee.
Oh, we're not going to talk about the areas of the
I'm-
Grand Canyon
I'm
that you
just
can't go into.
I'm spreading seeds, right?
We might go into it. You never know.
Like there's so much that I think that we have just not been told about real history.
We were led wrong. I mean, think about it. I remember learning Columbus discovered America. And when he discovered America, he encountered the Native Americans. That tells you the whole story right there. If he discovered America, why are Native Americans here?
Yeah, a valid point.
And we took that and ran with that, you know?
Well, it also tells you how susceptible the public is to the story or to a story, not the story.
But poor Chris thought he was in India too.
Well, that's why he allegedly called them Indians because he
Right.
thought they were in India, right?
Right.
And very different people. Like one has 7-Elevens, the other doesn't.
The other
That
has
was in
casinos.
jest. That was in jest.
When we go down this rabbit hole of the history that we've been taught, number one, I think we actually have to search. You've got to want to search for history. You've got to want to research. It's why people with history degrees really intrigue me. Because a lot of times what they read is not exactly the same as what the official narrative is or has been painted as.
I mean, it's far from it. I mean, you look back, look in the 80s, how popular Indiana Jones was. It's because we wanted to know the truth behind the history. Now, we let Hollywood tell us, right? We
Way
didn't
too
dig
many
in-
times.
Yeah, we didn't dig into it a bunch, but there are many, many people who dug into the history of it and wanted to understand the reasoning behind it, where things came from, where we came from, where items came from, why artwork is what it is, why music is the way that it is. And those people that want to know that really care about the history behind it.
But those people also want to get deep and see if what everybody has been told and believes as common belief is actually what really happened. And it a lot of times isn't.
What historians generally rely on their research into written words, which rarely contain the whole story. And I think archaeologists have as valid but different way of discovering things And so it kind of takes a melding of all of those things. And we can't ever, until we invent some kind of time travel machine and are able to go back and actually observe what happened, we don't really know for sure.
Here's my problem with archaeologists. And not to say that archaeologists aren't incredibly valuable. They are. But archaeologists make very certain conclusions a lot of times without all of the information. So what do I mean by that?
But so do historians.
They do. But what I mean by that is archaeologists will say there were no civilizations before X date. Right? Yet we know that if you go down into the South and Central Americas and you start excavating some of these really, and I don't want to say advanced cities, but you start excavating
No, they were advanced.
some of these cities that we cannot engineering wise replicate today.
Well, look at the
And then what do they say? Yeah, we're not gonna fully go ahead and dig that out. We're not going to do a full archaeological expedition there. We're just not going to do it. Why? Because it completely goes against the narrative. And instead of them saying, hey, we've still got a ton of questions, what do? They point fingers and they go, oh, those people are crazy. Because they don't believe what we say.
Well, we don't realize how much history has affected us. Look at the railroad, right? Roman roads were originally built to a standard. They set a standard. They said, hey, a wagon is this wide. So when they built a road and set it up, a standard wagon would be built this wide. And that's what they were. All the way through today, that's the reason a railroad track is certain width is because we carried that over from Europe to here from a Roman culture.
The chariots.
History is every part of it.
The Roman chariots.
And Walker's given us the finger on the penultimate segment. So we're going to come back. One more segment. This one's going to be fun because this is a new toy Kavan wants to put just outside the TSPL, just in case someone gets too close. We'll fill you in on what it is when we come back on Implicit Bias Radio. Implicit Bias Radio wants a new toy. If anybody wants to donate it, I would be happy to accept. I'm your host, Kavan Bordelon. This is the final segment of Hour 2 where we've got just tons of great people. And by the way, remember, if you go to Mr. Lester Steakhouse, the only 5-star steakhouse between New Orleans and Houston, you can get $5 pours of Colonel Taylor small batch while it lasts. And I don't mean while the offer lasts, because they are putting this offer in until they are out of Colonel E.H. Taylor. Let's go to our final segment here with the crew. Caleb is balancing his whiskey on his knee. Are you drinking the Balcones, Caleb?
No, right now I'm actually. This is good times.
Oh,
the Amburana.
both-
I wanted something a little sweeter.
Both from Champagne's Market in Karen Crow.
Yes,
I am
sir.
drinking the Balcones Rye, which is, man, it is chocolatey chocolate. It is fantastic. At the bar, Danny Izzo, Jonathan Broussard. Gents, any thoughts on the whiskeys you got up there?
I'm having this Forgate. I don't have my glasses, so I can't even tell you what it is. But
I was about to say,
pretty good.
even if you had your glasses, you've had enough whiskey, we know you're not seeing straight.
I'll blame it on not having.
Yeah.
glasses.
I love chocolate.
Oh, you like this Balcones Rye. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I remember, go to the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. You heard the bumps in the radio show. You can go see them all on our webpage, www.implicitbiasradio.com. Okay, the toy that we want. It is called, why are you laughing, Danny?
I love this thing.
It is called Sublethal. You want to tell them what it is, Danny, since you like it so much? Because I want one, but I don't know if I like it as much as you do. You are finding this hysterical.
I am. It's a surveillance camera, home surveillance camera with
With actuators.
Caleb.
So it moves.
What does it fire?
Isn't a 7? I saw 17, but that can't be right. I would consider this probably a 68 caliber.
Okay, I'm thinking it's something similar to like a Byrna.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
a 68 caliber
which is a
synthetic
68
or
caliber.
bismuth load round.
Yep.
Right.
It's a paintball gun that is remotely controlled that
The-
I would just love to smoke.
That does not fire paintballs. It's a soft rubber round,
it's a,
right?
it's a less than lethal cartridge.
It is
less-
it is a
it's
non-lethal cartridge, right? So
Right.
first of all,
we
love,
use less than lethal because you never know.
you know what we call that? We call that a teaching implement. This is an instructional implement.
Yes.
This will teach someone not to trespass or try to break into your property.
Get off my lawn.
Look, I got to be honest. I don't really want one. I do.
No,
not.
you want two.
I want the subscription to the videos of whatever happens after that.
And what's great about this is like if I came home, like tonight, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna pull up at the back of the house. My wife would smoke me with this in a heartbeat, just because it would be funny.
Just to watch and laugh.
Yeah.
Look, these first of all, these can't feel good. But imagine, literally, it's so for those who have
It's
played,
not going to kill you. Like
for
it
those,
hurts a little.
for
It
those,
hurts a little. Like
for
it
those
hurts a little.
For those Gen Xers who've played video games, imagine a sentry gun on a pole that is basically automated and you can watch it on your phone while it happens. So think about someone who takes, for lack of a better term, a doorbell that will tell you, hey, somebody's at your doorbell and show you the video. But now it's got a tracking device in it, it's got a targeting device, and it's got a paintball gun that will hurt like a...
And look, AI doesn't control the marker. That's what the launcher is called, is a marker. AI doesn't do that. It's human controlled.
Oh, so you get to do it?
So you're doing it.
Oh.
See, my fear is my cat would figure out how to use the darn thing.
Well, it probably would catch the devil. So
Yeah,
Yes,
and to your point, Caleb, my fear is that my wife would get a hold of it, and while I'm
Oh.
cutting the lawn, I mean,
Elizabeth would have a blast with this.
I'd be hearing serpentine, serpentine,
Yeah.
serpentine in
You
the
missed-
background.
You
Yeah,
missed it by the barbecue pit.
cutting the lawn, all of a sudden you're thwack and feel, no thanks. But man, to have it for my property, to have it here for the TSPL would just be tons of fun. We need more things like this.
I'm honestly curious. Like, if anyone buys this, let me know. I'm willing to get smoked by one. Because I'm curious how hard it really hurts. Like, I've been hit by a pepper ball. I've been hit by a taser and a few other things. And there's a lot of hype with it. It hurts. Not going to lie that. I'm not arguing that at all. But you can fight through that. I want to know how bad this hurts, because if it's a CO2 cartridge, that means you're going to get 4 or 5 shots and then I'm okay. I can deal with 4 or
Hey,
5.
you might be in luck. I think Danny's going to order one. And if he does, he'll have damn good photographs of it, too.
You know, and let me find out, because otherwise I have an air compressor hooked up to it with about 120 PSI with a good volume, and then I have consistent pain the entire way.
Caleb's actually
go.
ramping up the radar gun to see what the
Yeah, I
what
want
the
to figure
muzzle
out where we're
velocity
at,
is.
because
Yeah.
we're talking about probably 230 feet per second on a 68 caliber cartridge. It's soft rubber. You can probably put a capsaicin, which is a pepper ball, in there. You can put they used to make one called malodorant, and the malodorant you would vomit uncontrollably. It was awesome. But there were some cool ones, and I'd be curious to see what this feels like.
I've watched a couple of videos of big burly guys, burlier than any of us, purposely take shots from these. And
It'll collapse them.
they're down for a little while.
Oh yeah, my legs were black and blue from a pepper ball launcher, and the rep told us, he's like, "Oh, it incapacitates you immediately." And my buddy shot me 2 or 3 times, and I wanted to fight.
Hey, you know, there's a soft gel arena, if you will.
Yeah,
down the road
Acadia
from-
Gel Soft.
Yeah. And there's a reason they give you vests for this thing and
Oh, look.
goggles and all of that stuff.
So-
And that's a minute of what this
So
is.
there's a reason why with paintball guns, they have to tone down the muzzle velocity. They have to make sure you don't have too much air pressure. I got shot in the throat one time with a paintball. Like, it went up under the mask and hit me right in the Adam's apple. Talk about want to fight? Literally, because I'd been shot 2 or 3 times and I yelled hit. And when I turned, that's when I got shot in the throat. And it was at about 35 feet.
Oh yeah.
I was not a happy camper. I was not a happy person. But I can only imagine with something that would not break at 35, 40, 50 feet, what that would feel like. No, thank you. But I would love to have so much fun, especially if someone had malintent or ill intent in what they were trying to do. Man, this would be the best video game ever created.
Well, imagine sitting there and you're like, "Man, that possum's in my yard again." You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, they're in the azaleas. I was going to say Winifred. That's the name that came to mind. But you know, like, it would just be so much fun. If you're waking me up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're trespassing, guess what? I'm awake now.
So what you're saying, this is PETA friendly as well.
It absolutely
Ooh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. These are the types of things that on Implicit Bias Radio we like to look at and go, "Ooh, that's a great toy. That is a
Was it
fantastic
like
toy."
$1,800?
That's it.
I think it was $1,300 or $1,800.
I didn't even see the price. I'll be
Yes,
honest
it was
with you.
13. No, you can't put a live round in it.
I just saw-
that's NFA, ATF.
I just saw the video of people getting shot by it and was like, "I want one. I don't care
Yeah.
what it costs. I just want one." And at that point, if it's only that price, look. I mean, the problem that I'm going to have
that's a
with
decent
it,
rifle scope.
the problem that I'm going to have with it is that the TSPL is located somewhere in downtown Lafayette, which means Mardi Gras happens real close to here.
When
which
Walker
means-
gets here early or late,
which means Walker is late, which means festivals happen down here. And when people decide that our facilities are their facilities, if you know what I mean, oh, that would just be too much fun.
The problem you're going to have is refraining from hitting innocent
That's my
people,
point.
and that you're going to laugh at.
That's my point. You know what? You can laugh at us because this is Implicit Bias Radio. We got to wrap up this week's episode. Great episode for the crew. If you want bonus content, you can go to buzzsprout.com. You can subscribe there. We're going to record a couple of bonus segments here, have a little more fun, couple more weekly whiskeys. If you're not subscribed to the bonus content, you don't know what you're missing. It is uncut, it is unfiltered, it is unedited, which means it is unhinged. If you are just going to catch us next week, we hope that you have a blessed week. We hope that you will the good of other for the sake of other. And we hope that you do what's right, not what's easy. We'll see you in 7. Cheers.